Hey guys, welcome back to another video of my Madden retrospective series. We take a look at different stadiums in Madden 22, 23, 24, and Madden 25 to see how much they have changed over the years. Today we're taking a look at the Green Bay Packers Stadium in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And this is Madden 22 we're starting with, and keep in mind Madden 22 is the biggest map of any Madden, so it's the most detailed outside the stadium. Sadly, with Madden 22, it's not really detailed as much inside the stadium. Now, the Packers Stadium is a legendary stadium in any Madden, pretty much, because obviously this is football, right? So, with that being said, there isn't much you can get wrong, so as much you have to upgrade as much, right? Most of it has pretty much been the same for a very long time. They don't really change much, which works out very well when it comes to this type of, Madden series of upgrades. Now, that means they can focus more on actual upgrades that need to be upgrades throughout the year. So, again, like I said, this is kind of a positive video when it comes to this series. Sometimes we don't see too many upgrades. This one, I think, is going to be a good one. Anyway, though, Madden 22 right here, as you can see, there is a different color scheme. I don't, again, this is a stadium I never usually use in Madden, so I never realized that, their stadium is actually a very beautiful stadium. On the outside here, as always, when it comes to these stadiums, most of the times they are empty on the inside, not really much to do. Some stadiums do have vendors and different areas for people to walk around. That's not the case with this stadium in Green Bay. There isn't really like an area to buy food or drinks or anything like that. In real life there is, but in this game, that is simply not the case. We have this, and this is kind of the best you're going to get. So we don't really get any sponsors or anything like that. The main advertisements are going to be next to the Jumbotrons, and that's kind of the best you're going to get in the end here. Just based on how this is kind of structured together. Which, again, for a Madden game, it's not a big deal. For, trying to be as realistic as possible, it kind of sucks to a certain degree. You do have a little bit of vendors here. As you can see, they're not really developed or detailed, mainly because, again, it's really hard to see this area. Madden 24 is actually the darkest Madden. Madden 22, I know, ironically enough, it's going to sound crazy to say, is one of the lightest Maddens. So, when I say lightest in darkness, I mean when you go throughout the stadium, you're going to see certain areas that are a lot lighter in Madden 22 than they will be on Madden 24. So, for example, areas like that right here, this area right here, not where natural sunlight would hit, but areas where they wouldn't hit. That's the areas that really, in 22, are going to be lighter and not darker. So right here, we do have bathrooms, and I was actually incorrect. We do have some vendors. Okay, never mind, I take that back. I thought there was no vendors. There was no vendors inside where the field is, but on the outside here, there are some vendors, and yes, we do have some advertisers. So kind of cool. Intact, snack bar, and Fruit Star. Some vendors we have seen, some vendors we have not seen before. So kind of up in the air type of aspect there. Sometimes we get some new ones. Sometimes we gotta just get the old, old classics. On the outside of the stadium here, it's again a very beautiful all brick stadium. You got a nice little combination of the brick plus the green that kind of combos together very well. Again, as always, because this is Madden 22, this is going to be a humongous map. And when I mean map, I mean outside the stadium is going to be insanely crazy. And also, there's a lot of detail outside, as you can see, like little sit-down areas and walk-around areas. Again, I give EA a lot of props on this one. They have done a really good job of really trying to do their best with this stadium in every single Madden. I think Packers fans can give EA Sports a little bit of props when it comes to that. I have made a custom Packers stadium before. If you'd like to go check that out, it's on the channel. But for the most part, again, like I said, there's a lot of different things added to the stadium. And being a very old stadium and a very successful team for a very long time, you know, it looks very, very good. Now, there are stuff that needs to be upgraded throughout the next couple Maddens. When I mean from 22, that is. And you're going to see those things get fixed and upgraded. And again, EA did a good job there. With that being said, none of this is glass. I'm not sure in real life if that's open. I'm going to guess that is probably open in real life too. There's probably isn't glass. But I don't know why. When I first saw that, I instantly, my brain just thinks there should be glass there. But I guess not. Now, some of the areas as we go through out here, you can see that when we go in the area where it has glass, it is literally nothing behind it. So even if you might look through the glass and see something and be like, oh yeah, that's something right there, it might not be anything, even though it might look like it. Sometimes what EA does is they put a glass texture and then they put a file behind that and kind of overlay it over a file so it kind of still looks like an actual image. We have the parking lot all the way around the stadium. As you can see, it's kind of like a circular parking lot. Looks very good. And then we have some interesting buildings. So the first building we have here is going to be a red building or a burgundy building. That will be upgraded greatly throughout the years. I know you might say, why? We never see that building. Yeah, that is a very key building to get upgraded. The one next to it actually is a living roof building, and that will also get upgraded throughout the years as well. Now, the thing about this stadium is there isn't any working cars, sadly, but what there is neighborhoods on neighborhoods. Now, I've never been to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I do believe that there's going to be a lot of farmland, I would assume, based on what, I've heard of Green Bay. It's very much, a farmland type area. So because of that, I would assume there's a lot of farmland. But in Madden here, it's a lot of neighborhoods. It's not really a big city or any big, thing going on. Just a lot of neighborhoods over and over and over again. Now, based on what I've heard, there's not much to do in Green Bay outside of watch football and maybe, chill, kind of live your best life. But overall wise, it is a football town in and out. That's what I'll say about it. Based on what I've heard, and mainly what I've heard is from AJ Hawk. So, Packers legend as well as a Bengals legend, because he also played for us. Bengals fan. Anyway, though, actually, you know what? I thought there was neighborhoods on neighborhoods, but maybe I was incorrect, because it's actually kind of very open and kind of dreary. There's not actually much going on at all here. Wow. Maybe that's what they meant when they said there's really nothing to do in Green Bay. I don't know. That's I don't know. I thought there was going to be a lot more going on. Because based on what I remember, there's neighborhoods everywhere in this stadium. But again, I'm also thinking about this from a couple years ago when I played. So, yeah, no, never mind. I take back that statement of, neighborhoods on neighborhoods. There's not really any farmland. I guess this all could be considered farmland we're going through. But usually farmland, as you see in Madden and other Madden stadiums, it actually has the dirt texture, which is considered oh, that's a farmland. I mean, there is some neighborhoods. Okay, well, never mind. Okay, I take back my statement. There's the neighborhoods. Okay, so there are some neighborhoods and a good amount, but it's just not as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be how LA was, how SoFi Stadium was in Madden 22, where literally they rebuilt all of California. That's kind of how I thought it was going to be, and it's not, but it's still a lot of land and a lot of neighborhoods. It just isn't as crazy as LA is. And yeah, this side's actually a lot more on the neighborhood's point of view than the other side. Yeah. Never mind then. For the most part, I was correct. Just, it's not as crazy as I thought it was. Just still somewhat type of crazy in a situation. But a lot of roads, a lot of neighborhoods. I do love it when they put the neighborhoods next to the roads. I know it's a small, little, simple task. And again, when you really look at it at the end of the day, it's not we ever get to see it as fans, like playing with, say, for example, the Packers Stadium. But I'd love to see it, though. It's like that little attention to detail. Every little attention to detail, I just love. And even if it doesn't matter, it's still cool, you know? It's still a cool concept, cool idea to see these things, like, kind of correctly set up together and see EA Sports actually giving a crap. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anyway, we got that living roof right there. We also got the little outdoor practice facility right there. We got the indoor one across the street. Again, more neighborhoods, just buildings, stuff like that. Kind of surprised they didn't add cars, I'll be honest with you. This is another, not a dome stadium. It is an open stadium, but it's kind of very resemblance of a dome stadium because the fact that it is, again, you know, like you can't see the outside, right? It's kind of like how the Denver Broncos stadium is. You can't really see the outside of the stadium. Even though it's not a dome, there's not much going on here. Now, the big upgrade with Madden 23 is this sign right here on the right-hand side, and also the sign right above it. So, gotta love your Madden upgrades, man. I will say one thing, though, and you probably already know this if you've been watching the series, that Madden 23 usually never really upgrades locker rooms. So, if anything, you should be very thankful that this got in any way got an update in Madden 23, because that's usually not what happens. Usually Madden 23 doesn't really care to upgrade this stuff at all. But for whatever reason, they decided to upgrade it here, and it looks good. It looks good. I'll say it like that. It looks good. Anyway, though, we do have a little vendor booth in there as well. And again, as we learned from Madden 22, there are also vendor booths on the outside of the stadium, you know, when you kind of go where people are going to be. Now, Madden 23 did not have people outside the stadium. And as you saw from the last Madden, there was also nobody on the outside of the stadium. Madden 24 is when they really started adding people on the outside of the stadium. They had people walking around, people interacting with one another, walking in circles, talking to each other, and really kind of socializing, right? Creating this atmosphere outside the stadium that, hey, things are still going on, right? So that was Madden 24, and we're going to see that in a couple of short time from now. We're going to get to Madden 24 after Madden 23. But it kind of fixed a lot of the, you know, empty spaces in Madden. And, you know, usually I complain about the fact that people are everywhere in Madden 24, and I always will, because it is kind of like they're ants and they just kind of walk around in circles and they don't do anything. But for the most part, I will give EA props on one thing, is at least it adds in a lot of the empty space. And when you got stadiums like, for example, the Packers Stadium here, where there are some empty spaces, right, where in real life you go to a Packers Stadium, you're going to see people with cheese heads all over, right? You're going to kind of fill in that empty space by just the fans being there and being present at the stadium. That's not the case in Madden. So like this area right here, it just feels so empty and kind of dreadful because the fans aren't walking around. They aren't sitting down. They aren't enjoying themselves, right? So even though, again, I've played many times about it, I will give EA props that I think they should kind of lessen the amount of people that are outside the stadium. But it makes a lot more logical sense, you know, with that being said. We still have this very reflective texture in here, but there is an inside right there, as you can see. So they sort of started putting an inside to this area where it's not just like, you know, glass texture and nothing behind it. They added a tad bit more of the detail of like, okay, now there's going to be an inside texture. You know, it's going to be a little bit more of a fully complete building and not just, you know, just an empty building pretty much. So they started adding a little bit more texture to it, which I give them props, you know, give them props where props are due here. Very, very nice. We also have this building on the outside we talked about before, the Burgundy building, which is very similar to Madden 22, but it actually has been upgraded a tad bit, not much, but a tad bit. For the map size for Madden 23, the outside of the stadium's going to be 5% smaller than Madden 22. So, for example, if you look at the whole outside of the stadium, the map-wise, it is a 5% smaller than Madden 22. It's not by much. It's not crazy, worse. But it is a little bit smaller than Madden 22, which, for the most part, again, for especially a stadium like this, where you're just never going to see the outside of the stadium, it's not really that big of a deal to have a smaller map. And then again, Madden 24, Madden 25 just gets smaller and smaller. Madden 24 to Madden 25 isn't really too much of a difference when it comes to smallness, but Madden 23 to Madden 24 is definitely. I would say Madden 23 to Madden 24 is around 20% smaller, roughly. So, and again, we're going to see that as we go to Madden 24, is that the map size is going to get a little bit smaller. Usually what they do is they put these fake trees in the background all the way around the map, and then they're kind of try to circle the map, circleize the map, where it's kind of like, a little bit closer together. Just kind of like their little go-to method on how they go about this. It's cool, I guess. I mean, there's not much that needs to be outside the map, if we're being honest here. Especially if you're not going to add cars like a cool person, because that would be the dope part, is adding cars, but, it is what it is. We don't like fun, apparently, in EA Sports' land. If I could talk to one dev, man, one dev who worked on Madden 22, Madden 23, I just want to ask them about the cars. What was the plan, man? What was the plan? Was there a huge thing that was going to happen with it? Or was it literally just nothing? Knowing EA, it probably was just nothing in the end, but it is what it is. So, more neighborhoods all the way around. So, still kept a lot of the neighborhoods with Madden 23 from Madden 22. For the most part, again, very good looking. So, we're about to go into Madden 24. So, first off, you're going to see is a graphical change. It's going to be a graphical improvement, which I will give EA props. It does look a lot better in Madden 24 than Madden 23. And again, locker rooms is going to be the big difference here. Other things is people everywhere. Just pretty much common sense there. And then obviously we also have little other tiny upgrades. Sometimes we'll put buses on the outside, which usually is a Madden 25 upgrade, but it also does happen in Madden 24 sometimes. I'm not sure why the top of my screen right now is like cut off. Maybe not. Feels like the top of my screen is cut off. Maybe not. Okay. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, so usually that's what happens, right? With Madden 24, that is. Now, we just went in the locker room. There really wasn't any difference. So, kind of weird, because, again, usually this is the game where they upgrade those things, fix those things, but it doesn't look like that is the case for this one. It's a little bit more green. That looks good. They took away the sign on the right-hand side here, so they took away that sign completely. The whole locker room's more green. The piping at the top is more green. You have, again, still the same darkness. Madden 24 is the darkest map you're going to find, so really isn't surprising when you see, again, the darkness here. But for the most part, it's like you think it's going to be a huge upgrade because that's what it's supposed to be, but for some reason, it's enough of an upgrade where it's like, okay, that's realistic, right? And I think that's really what they're going for when it comes to certain stadiums. What I've learned when it comes to this series so far is that EA Sports has their favorite stadiums and their favorite teams, and those teams and those stadiums will get the best of the best upgrades, and pretty much everyone else has to suffer. That's what I've kind of figured out with EA Sports. It's like some certain stadiums, certain things are really good, and then other ones are like, and you kind of realize, okay, I don't think there's too many fans, not fans, but developers who are fans of certain teams, and you kind of tell who likes what. If it's a certain team, you're like, okay, developers like that team because that stadium looks absolutely amazing, but other ones, they don't. It is what it is. Shout out to EA Sports. All right, so as you can see, we have people kind of around the edge here, not just in their seats, but also in the walkway areas. That, again, is a Madden 24 feature. We also have a lot of people in the suites now as well, and I'm actually heavily surprised there's not people out here. So that's kind of crazy, to be honest. So some of these more dome stadiums, they don't have people on the outside, mainly because you can't see them, but others you do. And the Cowboy Stadium is a good example of that, where there are people on the outside of the stadium. But it looks like Green Bay's not, actually. Wow, okay. I'm heavily surprised. I mean, you have people up here, right? Which is cool, whatever, but you have, like, no actually safety nets, so they could just fall off and die, but that's beside the point. Okay, no, you do have people on the outside. Okay, never mind. You do have the ants on the outside. There's just not anyone where the seating area is. Which, again, makes no sense, EA. It makes no sense, but whatever. There's no one where the seating area is, but there's people on top of this area right here standing where it's probably not safe to stand because of the whole, no safety guards on the sides. And then you just have people randomly on the outside just standing in front of the building, walk around the building. But not too many people. And again, you just don't have anybody where the actual chairs are and the vendors are and that kind of stuff. See, it's like stuff like that where in other Maddens, they've done a good job of actually doing that, like making people sit down, enjoy themselves, like really kind of look like they're living their lives. But for some reason, then you go to this stadium and that's not the case. So you have a lot of people right around the stair area, which if I know anything about Packers fans, there's no way during a game when the game is live and going that they would be there. Okay, so there are people here, though. Okay, so there are people here sitting down enjoying eating, but just up here in the top section where the vendors are, there's nobody. But on the bottom section, there are people. Okay. That's a thing. Yeah, just trying to... I think this is a hotel. I mainly think it's a hotel because the front part right there, and that usually indicates a hotel for a lot of different places. But, okay, interesting. See, when I try to figure EA Sports out, that's when I always lose. Can never try to figure out EA Sports. You're going to lose every single time. Just kind of go with the flow and accept the EA Sports is EA Sports at this point. That's what I've learned. Kind of just go with whatever they have. They have something, you're like, yeah, that makes no sense. And you're like, well, but it is EA Sports, so I guess that's a solid method right there. Anyway, as I was saying before, this is going to be a lot smaller of a map, as you're going to see very quickly, than Madden 23 is. And again, they do that kind of like foliage thing on the outside. I think it's like their new favorite thing to do is put like foliage on the outside and kind of push the map inside. Make it a little bit smaller, but also look like it's still a lot bigger in the end, because there is like the idea that, oh yeah, past the foliage there, there's actual areas, but there's not really. But yeah, so kind of a thingy wingy here. Got some neighborhoods over here, some more foliage going on. We got some more foliage over here, some more buildings, some more neighborhoods. Again, very similar to the last couple Maddens. As we go along here, we got some more downtown building areas. And we are about to get into Madden 25. Now, as I always say, Madden 25 is just Madden 24S. That's really what it is. It's not like anything too crazy, insanely special. But yeah, just Madden 24S pretty much. What you're going to see with Madden 25 is that there will be some little details added. Some things that they like to add is fire alarms. They like to add fire extinguishers. They also like to add in exit signs. It's where I feel like like someone contacted EA Sports and was like, hey, your stadium, you got to add exit signs to your stadiums because people might not know how to leave your stadium. They need to know where the exit sign is, bro. You need to show them where the exit sign is. Something like that. But anyway, so we got that. Locker room, not really much of an upgrade, it looks like. Maybe a few things, like small things. It's not really anything special, though. I mean, it is green all the way through. It's a little bit lighter than Madden 24. It's not, like, crazy much of an upgrade, but it's enough where it's, like... It's enough where it's Madden 24S. That's what I'll say, right? It's a 24S, but it's not anything, like, crazy special. You look at it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a solid Madden 24S type aspect. We have our suites up here, as always. Nothing really going on there. Not really too detailed. And you can see right here, so it looks like there's people in there, right? There's people in there enjoying their life, you know, chilling, everything. But you go inside, and it's literally just a picture with a glass with fans. It's a picture of fans, like, on a piece of glass, overlaid on a piece of glass. And that's what you're seeing. That's not actually people. Such a weird thing, because there's so many stadiums where they do it actually correctly and they actually have people on the outside, but for whatever or inside the little suites, for whatever reason with this one, they did not do that. Did not do that one at all. They were just like, you know what, we can't do that. That's not how it's going to work here. We have to have it so that it's make-believe people standing there with suites just chilling. Shout out to EA Sports and their make-believe system. They're like, we have fans. See, fans are at the game, but they're not actually at the game because we don't really have any fans in this game for whatever reason. Oh, EA Sports. It's so weird. Once you know that it's just a picture, you can never unsee it. You can never unsee it. It's like now that you know it's just a picture with depth to it, it's impossible to unsee. It will forever be that picture that you thought it was something else, but it's not. Anyway, up here we do have more people again, kind of just standing around chilling. Same thing as Madden 24, not really anything big of a difference there. Up here we got our typical vendors. Well, I guess vendor, but it's not really a vendor anyway. It's like it's your typical EA Sports vendor thing. So not really any custom vendor or any custom situation going on. Kind of just your typical stuff here. More up here. We do have more area around here. That's, again, very similar to the last Madden. You have people up here as well, again. Not really having... I mean, they do have technical sides to the top here, but it's really not much of a side. It's not much of it, but it is technically something, so I don't know the technicality to it. Now, people have told me for my last video of my Madden 25 Noclipped series that this is not 100% accurate, and there is like an actual railing there, and it's not just all open so that you could fall to your death. So I like to assume that, you know, the Packers logically, you know, did not just have this to be wide open and, you know, anyone could just walk off the sides of the stadium. So I'm going to assume that everyone who tells me it's, you know, correctly set up is probably correct on that one too. Anyway, though, on the outside of the stadium here, again, we have more people than Madden 24 just walking around chilling. We got our same exact vendors on the outside here, Fruit Star, we got Impact, and then we got our little snack bar situation going on. So again, not much of a difference between Madden 24 and Madden 25 when it comes to this. Again, it's Madden 24S. You're not going to see much of a difference, but usually you get like one or two things that's a big difference. Does not look like that's the case for this stadium. This stadium is definitely kind of one of those where it's like, it's not much at all of a difference. Which kind of sucks in a way, I guess, because, you know, you like to see kind of the upgrades and changes. And again, some stadiums you're going to see that with. But what I've learned with this stadium and right now as we're going through this video is I don't think there's any Packers fans who are on the dev team. There's no Packer fan dev guys at this point. Because if they're a fan of the team, I promise you there's upgrades. And that's what we've seen throughout the whole situation so far. It's like, if they like the team, they go out of the way to make sure it's perfect. If they don't care for the team, they don't really care. And we do know that a lot of the dev guys are Giants fans. We learned that from the practice map, where there's a lot of what's it called? There's two different pictures of Giant photos from the history books. So I guess, if you're a Giants fan or you're the Giants, then they're gonna like you. But if you're not a Giants, then the dev team's just not really gonna care. That's the one thing I've learned in all this, is that simple fact. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, again, it's still a beautiful stadium. Still a beautiful, everything when it comes to the Packers Stadium and every single Madden. That is one stadium I do want to eventually go visit one day, is Lambeau Field. Just because, again, it is where football, originated. Well, not originated technically. It's where, football became, I feel like, the actual Super Bowl, right? Lombardi Trophy, Vince Lombardi, that kind of stuff. So, it's where a lot of it began. That's what I'll say. So, eventually, I do want to visit there. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Obviously, from Tom Grossi. So, shout out to him, and shout out to the fact that this is, again, very, very beautiful stadium. I guess this outside, I was saying this earlier, but I guess this outside isn't glass, and this is just all open, which I guess isn't bad. I don't know why my brain just automatically assumed that there would be glass right there on the outside and just not just all open, but I guess it works out being all open anyway, because, why not? Like, people are going to sit in there, enjoy, look out, get the nice breeze, get the nice, wind, and maybe snow. Because that's the one thing I'll never go to the stadium, is during snow, during the winter months, because Green Bay, Wisconsin gets absolutely blanketed with a white Christmas. Like, they're crazy when it comes to snow. And I live in Dayton, Ohio, so you already know I know snow, but I don't know snow like that. I'll tell you that. Not like Wisconsin. Although, I don't know. Actually, we get a lot of snow as well. So it's kind of, I feel like the farther west you go, not west, but farther up north you go, the worse it gets. Like, you get to Michigan, that's going to be bad. Minnesota, that's going to be really bad. And then obviously you got Wisconsin there too. But, I mean, we're literally right there anyway. Ohio's right there, so it doesn't really change much. We got the practice facility out here with a nice green grass all around it. Nice to see. That's kind of cool. Indoor practice facility. Whew. I'm a Bengals fan. I don't know what that is. Now, we have one. We just have a very small one. Definitely shout out to Pat McAfee. Anyway, we got some buildings over here as well. And again, this is going to be a lot smaller map than Madden 24 is. I would say a lot smaller. It's not a lot smaller. It's a tad bit smaller. I would say this map is probably going to be roughly around like 5% smaller than Madden 24. But then Madden 23 to Madden 24, that's like a 30% smaller map. So it's like, again, it is different numbers range depending. And then there are some maps that I think are going to be smaller, and then EA Sports just surprises me and makes them absolutely humongous. So the trying to figure out EA Sports method, never an easy thing to do. Every time I think I have them figured out, I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what's going on. And it's the opposite. So, yeah. Shout out to EA Sports and their never-ending cycle of tricking me into thinking I figured them out. Although I did actually spend money today on the Fire Fantasy Pack on my Mutt channel. Make sure you go check it out. But they got me on that one. Because, weak-minded. Anyway, got some neighborhoods right here. Again, some roadways to the neighborhoods. I do love how there is like a long strip of actual road down each of these neighborhoods with houses on both sides. Again, it's the little things like this I do appreciate when it comes to this type of stuff. is when they're building the map, they at least have logic. Like, okay, well, these are roads. On either side of the roads, you're going to have neighborhoods. You're going to have buildings on each side with homes. So I definitely will give them a lot of credit on that. Again, it's stuff they don't have to add, and they do add, and they try to make it look good, even though nobody will ever see it outside of us. So it's like, you know, it's there to be there without needing to be there. Checkmate. Yeah. Anyway, guys, make sure to like and subscribe button down below if you did enjoy this video. Again, we're going to continue this series until we are done all 32 NFL teams. For the teams like the Rams and the Jets, we will be going, the Giants, we will be going back, Chargers and Giants, excuse me. We will be doing those teams at the end of this series because we have already done the Jets and we have already done the Rams. So we're going to be going back and doing those as well at the end. But if you have a certain team you want me to do right now and you're like, hey, can you do this certain team? If we have not done it already, which I do have a playlist on the channel of all the teams we have done so far, I do not mind doing a certain team, you know, faster than another team. Kind of just rattling off different teams at this point. And I think we're right now at like 16 or 17 teams in. So we are rocking and rolling. So definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Make sure to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video.